Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final round here at the 2017 Vibram Open. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. Joined alongside me is Robert McCall. And Robert, it might be another day for the famous Raincoat Ricky.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have the conditions for it. Yesterday was perfect. I mean, temperature was perfect, no wind. I mean, ideal all day. And today has been almost the opposite of perfect. I guess we could have had lightning, which would have, delayed everything. We haven't had any delays, but we have had very wet weather and quite a bit of wind today. And so we've seen a little bit higher scores. I think there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of separation on a day like today.
There certainly is. It's going to be about who is the most prepared and who can brave these elements. Yesterday, we saw Gregg Barsby card the ace on hole number 5. Although he had a little bit of a roller coaster round.
Yeah.
He ended up tied for the lead along with Ricky Wysocki at 20 under par. And then coming off the second card was Nate Sexton, who's sitting at 18 under par, and James Conrad, who is hoping to avoid any major slips on hole 1 today, is at 17 under par. And then there's a really good chase card right behind them with a lot of charging players.
Yeah, both Paul McBeth and Nate Doss are 5 back of our leaders right now, and both have been known to play extremely well out here, both past champions. And so excited to see how today goes and to get the action started. Get the action started. Words,
They're tough sometimes. Well, it's wet out here. So we're also going to, of course, bring you the live action fed in from this morning's round, thanks to Todd and Steve Dodge. So you'll be able to check out the battle on the women's side. It was a very exciting one. And so with that, I think we're ready to go. Steve Dodge is on the call with our lead card right here at the 2017 Vibram Open.
Our lead card on the final day of the Vibram Open, sitting at 20 under par, Ricky Wysocki.
Yeah, and Ricky appears ready to go. Big smile on his face. We know that it is going to be a long and challenging round. It's all about staying dry. Here's Ricky.
Rick's taken his Fusion Enforcer on a hyzer flip line and has absolutely mashed this tee shot. It is still in the air. Oh my goodness, he has found a perfect landing zone, even in perfect conditions. I don't know if you drop a better tee shot than that.
Under par, Gregg Barsby.
And Gregg Barsby, who found himself on Sports Center last night after a great ace on hole number 5. And this is Gregg's star boss that we see him throw a number of drives out here. That's going to have a late hookup to it. And if it can push to the left, it's going to be even better. That's a good-looking shot. A great start for our Gregg Barsby.
Teeing off third, sitting at 18 under par, Nate Sexton.
And Nate Sexton back with us here. He is on the leader card for the final round. And not enough flip to that by Sexton. He's going to be safe. He'll be on the left side, which is, I think, the preferred side to be. So certainly not a bad shot, but he could have used a little more flex.
Yeah, and with a forehand like Nate has, if you're on the left side, you can attack the green from over there. So that's the mistake to make.
James Conrad.
James Conrad trying to get everything into that is turning hard right. Where's that going to finish for him, Robert?
It's hard to tell, but I think he'll still have a shot at an up and down from there.
Let's check in with the women who teed from the shorter tee earlier this morning.
Today's lead card on the women's side in this order: Valarie Jenkins, Paige Pierce, Catrina Allen, and Jessica Weese. Good luck, ladies.
And here we go. The final round at the Vibram Open. It is 57 degrees. It is raining. As you can see, the rain is coming down not quite straight, but these girls are getting pelted. This day is going to be decided by the person who can withstand this weather and consistently play well. All four ladies clear the pond. Paige Pierce and Catrina Allen and Jessica Weese know they must be aggressive from the get-go to have a chance at catching Valarie, and Paige is aggressive and goes OB on hole 1. Valarie Jenkins lays it in. She's got 20 feet for the par. We'll call that in. And Catrina Allen throws her third shot OB. She'll be carding, well, she'll have a chance at double bogey right here. Catrina Allen opens with a triple. We're moving on to hole 2.
And with a sea of umbrellas heading down this fairway, at some points I know we're a little bit shorter, but we're going to have to make sure we get in front of everyone here today because these umbrellas are going to be blocking action everywhere. James Conrad is throwing up, and, well, it would be a little bit of a turnover if he goes backhand here.
I think he's going to play hyzer to the middle of the mouth. Yeah, absolutely. Just a spike hyzer to give himself an angle into the green. Maybe get a long jump putt, but more than anything, he's just trying to secure his par at this point.
And a very smart play. As I was saying, if he were to go hyzer, that was if he was to try and be more aggressive, trying to get it into the mouth out of the gap here on hole 1, but as you just said, Robert, very smart play. Not a great angle from where he was at on that right side, and playing the hyzer just so he can get up and down for the 4 is the good way to go here.
Absolutely. Extremely low percentage chance of finding the mouth and staying in bounds from this far back and the right side, so good play.
And no player is more deadly accurate with a forehand than Nate Sexton. He's coming in at the green, but he's got to hope that actually sits down.
He got some applause from a spectator up the fairway, so I've got to assume he's safe on the green. It was a good shot.
And Barsby is just behind one of the smaller Christmas trees here on the right side of the fairway. Looks like he's going to have a forehand approach.
Yeah, he went aggressive with this yesterday as well and carded the birdie. I'm pretty sure this is a banshee he's throwing for this upshot.
And you're right, he's very aggressive. He needs that to move to the right. Comes in behind. We're waiting on any kind of indication, and no one officially knows other than the guys standing behind us, who I don't think really know any more than we do. It was tough to tell if that was in fact safe or not. But Ricky Wysocki, what a drive, and what an opportunity to put himself up at least one more stroke here with a birdie.
Yeah, huge drive from Ricky, and with a proficient forehand, this is where, I mean, with any shot, this is where you want to be, but for Ricky, I mean, you don't draw it up much differently than this. I mean, he outdrove other competitors by 80 or 100 feet, and he's got a forehand harp into the green.
And as you said, drawn up and executed perfectly. Ricky hits off the back embankment, just like a puck out on the ice. Ricky's finding himself right next to the goal. Very nice shot by Wysocki. I'm not sure, but it may be cold enough for ice skating by the end of the day.
Let's check the temperature. Yeah, it's not right now, but maybe later. It feels like it with how cold my feet are right now.
And Conrad has a turnover right to the green, also putting himself within 15 feet. He's going to be playing for a pretty routine par here, and we've talked about it with this new change. Birdies are far less common out here this year. We've only seen actually a dozen or so of them, so it's great that anytime you're carding the par, you're doing just fine here.
Absolutely, but I think we also have a couple of opportunities for birdie. I know that Ricky is looking at about 15, 20 feet, and now that we're up by the green, I see that Nate Sexton has settled in bounds as well from a similar distance, and so really good attacking shots by these guys. Ricky didn't need to lay up much. He was in a good spot, but Nate Sexton had to throw a really aggressive line to get where he did, so well played for him.
Barsby's long jump putt is just a bit short and left. Feel a little bit of a wind picking up. I think wind is going to be the least of the concerns here today, unless they start howling as they were a number of years ago, where we saw that famous ace by Dave Felberg on hole number 3. No problems for Sexton, short range. Ricky will in fact be able to bring it in the full 1 meter from the OB wall on the left side here on the putting green. And just squeaking it in. No chains required apparently.
Yeah, that was a little bit low, but it's that's like we've said before. No pictures, just numbers. And this group is going to play hole 1 in 2 under par as a group, which is a fantastic grouping on hole 1.
Solid lead card opening here during our final round, and rarely am I this excited to get through 18 holes, but today we're going to push through as quickly as possible. Let's move over to hole 2 after a word from our sponsors. And welcome back. We are here on the tee of hole number 2.
Yeah, Yeah, I've heard hole 2. It's 350 feet long. OB wall all along the right side, and then some trees about 3/4 of the way down the fairway on the left that you have to contend with. I've heard this described by Zach Melton as the longest 350 you'll ever throw. It plays and feels a lot longer than that, and there's just danger in a lot of areas. So anything that you can get to hold straight for a long time is good, or if you want to play the turnover, you really have to force it over and play it out to the left with something that has some stability to either come back or sit down.
If you just kind of reach in there, you should be able to grab it pretty easy. Boom. Thanks.
And once the card has all gotten the scores, looks like Ricky Wysocki's caddy will be doing the scores for Ricky. We hear Sexton belt out his birdie 3. And Wysocki will retain the honors here. First to tee on hole number 2. And getting up very quickly is Wysocki, who hits the trees that are found on the left side. It looks like it got a little kick further to the left. There's a lot of little gaps to attack the green from there. He's going to be looking uphill a little more than 100 feet. And Sexton going with a roller. We've seen that play by Nico LaCastro the last 2 days. One thing that a roller does for everyone at home is it takes out the element of finding OB. You may or may not park the shot. If you get a really good roll down, you could, but it takes out the element of finding the OB on that right side.
Yeah, I mean, unless it gets some crazy kick, that's a really good play just to play for a 3.
And speaking of the OB, Barsby is heading directly toward it. We'll see if that kicks out. We don't have any formal indication whether or not that carried over the wall. It looks like it may have. And Conrad's is left, but not enough air under it. He'll have a clean look at the basket. Let's see how the women did from a different tee earlier this morning.
The Mach X by DGA, the evolution of disc golf.
He's thrown a 4 hand. You know he's comfortable, unlike most players who have to do it in desperation.
Yeah, Ricky's gotten a really, really developed forehand and backhand, and that, along with being a really good putter, equates to being good at disc golf. Did some quick math there, and it does help to be good at all those things.
Multiple-time world champion. And what a great run there by Gregg Barsby, trying to save the par after going OB on the tee shot. He'll have an easy tap in from 7 feet. Nate Sexton's found himself in the gully, and really no surprise, because the chance of rolling up and over or through that little ravine are pretty slim.
Yeah, you're mostly, if you're doing that play, you're playing for a 3. Maybe you get a nice bounce over the ravine, but that's about it. So this should be a layup. Pretty easy one, I think.
And James Conrad has found himself within 25 feet of the pin, maybe closer to 22 from there. He's got an uphill putt. Good look at birdie.
Yeah, I think he took offense to the fact that we thought he didn't have enough air under it. He said, you know what? I did. So, in your face, because, James, spiteful kind of guy. Really, really cold-hearted kind of. Just kidding. He's a super nice guy.
And the rain has picked up and become more steady, not affecting James Conrad. He's going to move himself to 18 under par. He's going to pick up a stroke on the rest of the group, also taking the honors on the 3rd tee here. Thus far, we've seen really nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, we've got 3 birdies in 8 opportunities. This is a pretty solid start so far.
Absolutely. And we're just getting through our first couple of holes here. Once we get back into the woods, the rain won't play quite as much of a factor. Wind won't play quite as much. But holes 5 and then 6 and 7 to follow. Pretty tough holes to contend with the wind. So I think we're going to see some pretty solid action. Maybe lots of movement.
All right, we're moving on to hole 3. We'll be back in a moment.
Not all fairways finish left, and we can't all throw with pro power. So Vibram has designed an understable distance driver that is perfect for beginners or advanced players looking for amazing anhyzer finishes. Introducing the Unlace from Vibram. Durability, grip, performance.
Sun King Discs, established in 2001. Florida's most respected name in disc sports. Official retail merchandiser of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Currently on tour supporting Discraft and DGA live inventory, free shipping at $12. All orders $19.99, ships in a box, includes single discs, large selection of both stock and collectibles. Check out the website at www.sunkingdiscs.com.
I don't know. Keep going. 5 minutes.
And welcome back. We are here on hole number 3 on the tee. And Robert, something worth pointing out at this point is, although these tee pads are gorgeous and a ton of work, very skilled and detailed work goes into them, one has to wonder, is there any chance of slipping on them?
It's somewhere between a very likely chance and extremely likely chance of slipping on these tee pads. Yeah, it's not quite as combed and textured concrete as we're used to, and so we have seen several slips. Not really much that you can do about it. Our players are going to have to either trust their footing and play it as hard as possible. Sometimes they slip, sometimes they don't, or just play a little bit more conservatively with their run-up, be a little lighter on their feet. I really like watching players play in conditions like this because you see whose game is the most adaptable, who can make the best out of difficult situations.
Well, thus far, it doesn't seem like we've had any issues with the footwork from any of our competitors. I believe they do something to try and actually address the possibility of slipping. I'm not sure if it's some form of acetone or some other fancy products. I think they might do something, but here's James Conrad. And yesterday I talked about how players seem to drift to this left side. I'm not sure if it's just where the gap is that much bigger. Here's Ricky. But when any players do veer any given direction, it's usually left. Ricky hits a tree on that left side. Nate Sexton actually had to turn to Ricky and say, "Did you already throw?" Because he did not see him get up there and very quickly release his tee shot. I believe it was in fact lemon juice and salt that they mix onto the tee pad.
And Nate Sexton is falling prey to the same side that we see people air to. Although, here's the deal. The gap is a little wider on the left side off the tee box. And so if people air right, there's a chance they hit a tree early and don't even make it over the OB wall, in which case they go to the drop zone. So not surprising to see our players miss left for the most part.
And turning that one over is Gregg Barsby. It's tough to see just how far it's carrying, but let's check in with the women from earlier this morning.
We advance to hole 3. The rain has let up as we enter into the woods. Valarie Jenkins on the tee with a 7-stroke lead. She would like to put that in the middle of the fairway to have an easy up and down, but that should be good enough. Paige Pierce continues to play aggressive, and much like on hole 2, her second shot on hole 1, that just does not come right. She's left about 45 feet out for the birdie putt from the left side. Jessica Weese's drive also does not come right enough, but it does find a way through. She's got about 25 feet for birdie. Valarie Jenkins leaves that much shorter than she would have liked. Maybe a little tester for par. Catrina Allen pins it. Paige Pierce for birdie off the top. She had 5 or 6 of those yesterday. Another one.
And Ricky goes with a forehand, which hits a tree on the left and then kicks to the right side.
That was within an inch of hitting the 2 trees right in front of him, which would have been sheer disaster.
Today, if she wants to catch Valarie, she needs to dial that putt in. Valarie Jenkins, solid for par. Paige Pierce continues to play aggressive and continues to not yet gain ground.
And James Conrad has a walk-up approach shot that he throws with a putter. That looks like it will work just fine to walk away with a par.
From the tee box, it looks like the left side is really crowded and awful, but we've seen a lot of players get up and down from the left side, especially if they're farther up like Nate Sexton. So it's likely that he has a couple of gaps or routes to choose from here.
And one thing worth taking note of here today, it looks as if 3 out of our 4 players have, well, I guess I'll say all 4 have caddies. Someone for Ricky is helping him out as well, although Ricky's pulling his cart behind him. I believe he has someone else kind of taking care of the scores, maybe helping keep things dry. When you're out here and you're a top-level pro, it's you get a little bit of that pro bump when you have lots of people that are usually willing to jump on the bag and help you out in rainy situations.
Yeah, and that's absolutely paramount to their success out here. If you are in charge of drying off your discs and making sure that everything is in a good spot, and it's a lot to keep up with, and these players just need to think about one thing, and that's throwing. And so no surprise to see more players using a caddy than not.
Barsby is just outside where Wysocki's second shot has landed, so Barsby the only player with a birdie opportunity remaining.
Good bid by Barsby there, just a bit low. This is quite a bit uphill from where he's standing, so not surprising to see that one not quite have the juice to get there. He also had a couple of pretty large trees to contend with, so good bid for him. Settling for a 3 here was not going to hurt him at all.
Wysocki, thinks he has it. He starts to run it down. And I was just thinking about stealing a favorite term from the Wysocki script, which is momentum, and thinking that if he could somehow get up and down, save that par, one would think that he is on a mission to stay dialed in and focused. Although he didn't have the greatest tee shot, caught a tree on the approach, I was thinking he still may walk away with a par knowing Ricky, and he comes up just short of that. But looks like he's going to be losing a stroke. James Conrad has a little bit of work to do here to save his par. Looks to be just inside circle's edge. This is for a 3. Little bit of a stutter step on that putt from inside the 10-meter circle. Any thoughts on that, Robert?
Not really. It's a 3. A 3 is going to be really good today with the wet conditions. Hard to get a tee shot all the way up to the basket.
Sexton will tap in. Barsby will do the same, also walking away with a 3. And they will play in 1 over with Ricky Wysocki taking the bogey. We have a very short walk over to 4. We'll be back in a moment.
Always thrown Innova and competed with Innova. I don't think I'd be playing the sport if it wasn't for creating the disc itself and then just taking it to the next level over and over and over again. How great the discs are themselves. It's really gained my trust, and I don't think I would be here without Innova. I don't see myself doing anything else.
And we've talked about it before. This is the shortest hole here on the Maple Hill Gold layout, 250 feet with an incredibly tight fairway. And Nate, a little low, hits a tree on that right side.
Yeah, I mean, making the first part of the gap is so important, but after that, if your disc leaks just a little bit right or left, you are going to catch a tree. This is a very, very demanding tee shot. Gregg Barsby's drive splits the first gap, gets a nice little kick to the right, and has found himself inside circle 1, looking at a chance at a birdie 2. This will most likely be the first time Nate Sexton does not birdie this hole.
And going for alternative fairways we talked about yesterday, out and around that right side by Wysocki. Let's see how the women did
a little bit short
earlier today.
We advanced to hole 4 on this dreary day at Maple Hill. Well, dreary for everyone but Valarie Jenkins, that is. Here's Valarie's drive on hole 4. Very tight, thin gap. She gets knocked down to the right. She'll have a nice soft Annie to get close to the pin to save par. Paige goes way right, gets a ridiculous kick and roll. Finishes about 30 feet left. Wow. Valarie Jenkins' second shot, 25 feet away behind a tree. And Catrina Allen, this is her second shot. Pin high, about 10 feet right, gets an edge, rolls. I think Catrina's a fan of Keen right now. Thank you, Keenwall. Paige Pierce with a huge birdie putt. Welcome back, putter. Valarie Jenkins for par. Well, we have a 2-stroke swing on hole 4. The lead is now 5.
And Nate Sexton approaching from a little over 150 feet. Looks like he's past the basket. He'll have an easy comeback.
Yeah, an extremely speed-sensitive shot as we throw down this decline. I bet Nate threw that about 30 or 40 feet worth of power, but it traveled all the way down to the basket and even a little bit deep. So extremely touchy second shots if you do happen to find an early tree on this hole.
And one might think, that Ricky actually wouldn't be aggressive there for just a moment, sitting at almost 20 meters or 66 feet from the pin. And he was giving it a run, but some trees between him and the basket prevented such.
Yeah, man, Ricky is just, he blows me away on things like that. You think there's no way you could really be aggressive on that shot. And then he's like, I'm just going to go ahead and be aggressive. When you have that sort of confidence, it's really impressive to watch out on the course.
Oh, and James outstretched to the left has a little bit of a turn that gets up and rolls almost all the way to the Keen wall. And just to further elaborate a little bit more, Robert, when we're talking about confidence out here on the course, one thing that can separate some of our top players from maybe just your average pros is the fact that someone like Ricky Wysocki can run at a 60-footer because he knows if he's 30 feet or less, he's going to probably be making that comebacker. And that's the confidence he's instilled within his game, within his putting stroke. And I got to tell you, if I thought or was almost all but guaranteed I was going to make every comeback putt, I'd probably putt a little bit more aggressive myself. But when you miss a 45-footer and you've got a 28-footer coming back for that par, it gets a little bit more daunting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's when you hear people talk about the importance of working on your short game, that's part of the reason that we talk about it, is when you're somebody like Ricky, then you can basically just count your 28, 30 footers. Yeah, you're not afraid of any putts outside the circle, because if you miss, you're not going to go 30 or 40 past. James Conrad got a little bit of an unfortunate roll here, but he does have a clean look at the basket between a couple of trees. He's going to opt for a straddle stance and be putting approximately 25 feet back up the hill for his look at a par 3.
As you see him wiping off his disc, everyone's going to do their best here to keep both their disc and their hands dry, and it's going to be a challenge throughout the round, especially as your towels and your shirts get wet as we carry forward. And a rare miss by James Conrad. I think I heard him say, "Oh no."
And a great up and down for Ricky. He did catch a tree on the right side while he was running his putt aggressively, but no harm, no foul as he cards his par 3, except for that Gregg Barsby was absolutely parked for his birdie too. So competition is tightening up through our first 4 holes.
After Nate Sexton, we'll step aside, get ready for a word from our sponsors. Nate's in for the par. We'll be back with you in a few moments.
Tempercraft USA. Double-walled 18/8 stainless steel construction keeps it cold while you're hot, keeps it hot while you're cold. Get your customized growlers, tumblers, and sports bottles with a lifetime warranty and 1% back to the planet. Tempercraft USA. Temper your thirst.
Hole 5 plays out over the water, and Gregg Barsby takes the same disc that he aced with yesterday.
Nice green.
Awaiting applause, and he finally gets some. So Barsby should be inside the circle putting for birdie 2. It won't be an ace today, but nevertheless a good shot. Nate Sexton has hung his forehand out a little bit wider than Gregg's, but it is working back to the right nicely. And he gets the green flag. He is in bounds, putting at this elevated basket. Ricky Wysocki has opted for a lucid felon, which is tracking beautifully at the basket. And he gets groans from the audience as he nearly aces, but we'll have to settle for a likely birdie 2. Boring on this hole is what I've heard. You want to make it first time. And James hugs it extremely tight to the trees, and it's working to the right beautifully. We're just waiting for it to finish. He will be in bounds. Let's see how the women did here on hole 5.
So we advance to hole 5. Paige Pierce on the tee has cut the lead to 5. I guess out here at Maple Hill, any given day, any given hole, we can have a 2-stroke swing. Paige Pierce with a beautiful drive through the safe route. She'll have a look at birdie, and Valarie Jenkins off an early tree has a very difficult second shot. She pulls it tight. She's got a difficult third shot. Paige Pierce is actually in circle 2, and Valarie Jenkins doesn't get there until her third shot. Here's Paige Pierce for birdie. That's fun. She was actually running that, It didn't fly the way she wanted it, but she was running that. She's playing aggressive all day. Catrina Allen misses the birdie putt. Jessica Weese for birdie. A great run by Jessica Weese. Let's see if Valarie can save the bogey. Just lose one stroke to Paige. Off the cage, another two-stroke swing. We are down to 3 with 13 holes to go.
And from 28 feet, James Conrad converts from his straddle stance, collecting his birdie 2 here on hole 5. Daunting backhand shot over the water if you choose that route. Either way over the water, it's truly a scary shot, but these players made it look easy.
And Sexton with a rare miss from inside the circle's edge, this elevated basket. Now it looks like this hole has continued to haunt him throughout the week. Nate Sexton struggling on what should be a relatively routine birdie for him. And we're going to see Gregg Barsby just 3 feet from the pin.
But substantially worse than yesterday. I mean, he'll have to settle for the 2 instead of the ace.
That's right. We're moving on to the challenging hole 6.
For driving with power or into a headwind, Vibram designed a distance driver with amazing glide and a strong, predictable fade. It is the ideal disc for big arms, forehand drives, and smooth right-to-left finishes. Introducing the O-Lace from Vibram. Durability, grip, performance.
And welcome back, everyone. We are here on hole number 6. We've talked about it at great lengths throughout the weekend, just how challenging hole 6 is. Before I get to the UDisc stats, I'm going to go ahead and guess this is rated probably, again, the second most difficult hole on the course according to par. Of course, again, you can find all stats and scoring information on udisclive.com, and sure enough, it is rated the second most difficult, coming in at an average of 3.69 on this par 3. This 375-foot hole with plenty of danger, both on the left and the right-hand side. On the left side, you could find water with a errant shot that carries hard left, and there are a plethora of trees on this right side that could easily kick you over the wall, OB, to that right side. And even more importantly, if you go OB right, you are all but guaranteed a very, very difficult second or third shot.
Gregg Barsby's opted for a flip-up forehand with his Scorpius. He got a kind of a straight skip, and then not a very great last skip to the left. But honestly, inbounds is fine here. This is a tough hole to reach in one shot. Ricky wastes no time and turns a forehand over. He'll be on the left side of the hole. Got a little bad roll toward the water, but we're going to wait on an indication from our spotter as he goes down to check. And he does get the green flag, so Ricky will be in bounds, albeit with an unsure opportunity to get up and down for his par. James Conrad takes a turnover rock, actually more of a hyzer flip rock, straight down the left side gap. It appears he's probably gone just a bit too far to have a clean look at the basket on the short side and not quite far enough to have a clean look on the long side, but he's covered almost all of the fairway. Great tee shot right there.
I'd go ahead and bet that Nate Sexton's going to be throwing, of course, a forehand here. Earlier in the week, we saw Ricky Wysocki with one of the rare birdies found on hole number 6. He had thrown a forehand to within 10 feet of the pin during the second round, or correction, during the first round.
There's just so much danger on this tee shot. I mean, it's a tight gap, but then OB right, and then one bad kick left, and you could find water. It's a very, very daunting tee shot. Sexton is extremely comfortable with this forehand. And he catches a tree, maybe 80 feet off the box.
Let's check in with the women from hole 6. Nate Sexton will be throwing first after hitting some of the early trees, not getting fully out of the initial tunnel found here on hole 6. Nate Sexton is now officially back on tour. His wife and newborn, they're all loaded up in a new RV and traveling around the country.
Nate's opted for a Sexton Firebird for his forehand. It was on a perfect skip angle to get up to the basket, but catches a tree on the left side.
Now we'll check in with the women here on 6.
We advance to hole 6. Valarie Jenkins has gone bogey, double bogey. In rounds 1 and 3, Valarie carded a total of 2 bogeys. She's eclipsed that already this round. Paige Pierce plays it relatively safe, gets a decent kick. She'll have a funky look for up and down to save par. Valarie Jenkins, again, not good off the tee. She is struggling right now. Here is her second shot. She leads the tournament by 3. A third of the players go OB here on hole 6. Here's Catrina Allen challenging the OB and making it no problem. A great par save by Catrina Allen. Paige Pierce lays herself up perfectly for a par. And here's Valarie Jenkins for par to not lose another stroke. If she misses, she is only up by 2. A 2-stroke lead, a struggling leader, 12 holes to go. The Vibram Open is in contention.
Shot trying to get the disc over on its top side so that it can hit the ground and actually skip up toward the pin and on this very hard ground. That's a great play and a great option to have here. What do you guys call that shot in your neck of the woods?
Pancake is what I've always called it when you start the disc straight up and down or even a little tilted over to its left side. And then slide it on the face. That's what I've always called it. but I've heard Scuba. I've heard a bunch of weird names. Those people are wrong, probably.
I was thinking the same. And a compacted forehand there by Gregg Barsby. You can see that he couldn't get his full arm extension. In fact, he kind of just had to wiggle his wrist a little bit to try and release that. He was pinched up against the trees, and as a result, he hits a tree approximately 35 feet in front of him, and then it rolls back 15 to 20 feet. So he has a net gain of no more than 20 feet on that shot.
Yeah, that was a brutal roll away. If it just sat down after the first tree it hit, he's probably just outside circle one's edge, but as it stands, he's sitting at maybe 45 or 50 with a likely obstructed view at the basket.
And another forehand. Oh, and Barsby almost completes the hero shot to save the par. And James Conrad has seen at least a half dozen shots thrown before he's able to approach his life for the first time.
Yeah, as we said earlier, just a really pure tee shot from James. It looks like he has traveled far enough to have a straddle or an Anheuser putt at this basket.
As if, looks like Nate Sexton actually still has to throw even before James can get to his shot. And lofting it up and around with his back to the basket. Looks like Nate Sexton's going to walk away with a bogey 4. And this hole is proving why it is the second most difficult hole to par. James Conrad is going to see if he can maybe pick up 1 or 2 strokes on his cards mates here. This is a long birdie attempt, about 45 feet. Just off the front. And Robert, as I was hearing the raindrops come onto our umbrella here, I was thinking that the rain is constant, it's steady, it's not an actual outright downpour, it's just constant, and it's definitely enough to mess with all of our players, but it's a constant rain. We'll see if it gets any worse or if it somehow lets up during this round.
I'd be really excited if it did let up, but I mean, you're exactly right. It's more annoying than it is unplayable at this point. It's just a frustrating hassle to deal with. I'm sure our players might argue as they have different footing and they have to execute out on the course, but it's manageable for them at this point.
And Conrad should still be happy he did miss out on the birdie opportunity, but we're going to move on to hole 7 up the pipe in just a moment. And Robert, we are here in the very tight bottleneck that is found on the tee of hole number 7. Hole 7 measuring in at 370 feet, slightly uphill. We talked about it yesterday, how 2% of players found themselves inside Circle 1. A very, very difficult green to actually drive to on this tight wooded shot.
Absolutely, and for our players, each of them can execute this type of flight, but it's just a difficult flight to execute. It's probably a slight hyzer flip uphill, and if they can finish to the left, that's fine, but it's a pretty narrow fairway.
And interesting to see Wysocki going with the forehand. It hits a tree on the left side and carries far enough left that you'll be able to see hole 8's blue tee from there. That is just, in fact, how far left that went.
James Conrad has put a beautiful move on his star T-bird. Gets a straight, actually a bit of a right skip. He's likely put himself right around the circle's edge, but he's accomplished the more difficult part of the hole, which is nailing the drive. Great shot by Conrad.
And playing for the full flex, but not quite getting it. Instead, getting the assist from the right side. Barsby's in a really good position. You cannot underplay just how great that kick really is to keep him right in the center of the fairway for a relatively routine up and down. And it sounds as if I jinxed us perfectly. As we feel the rain get harder, let's check in with the women to the shorter basket on hole 7.
The temperature has actually dropped to 54 degrees. New England has some of the hardiest disc golf fans in the country. We advance to hole 7. Paige Pierce has closed the lead to 1. And that is not the way to close it to 0. She is well off to the right. She might have a look up another alley at the pin. We will have to see. Valarie Jenkins on the tee. A friendly kick, but Valarie Jenkins is in trouble on hole 7. Her second shot, she pulls that well right. So after the first hole, Valarie Jenkins was in the lead, tied with 8 other people. After the second hole, she was tied with 2 other people. By hole 6, she was in the lead all by herself. And for the next 50 holes, she just built that lead. She built it up to 7. And in the last 4 holes, she has lost that lead. And we now have a tie going into hole 8.
And right now it looks like both spotters and a little confused as to where everyone is standing and what's going on. But I confusion going.
Get kicks that just carry a long ways away.
Sexton, I believe I heard him say earlier in the week, he likes throwing orcs to shape his shots through some of these wooded holes. Right now it looks like he's lining up another forehand. And he's going to play for the full flex, but doesn't get it. He had thrown that approximately 100 feet. It hit a tree, and then it was almost dead center, squaring up with that tree and coming right back in his direction.
Yeah, it's a tough break when you get a kick that does more traveling, but Honestly, had he gotten a kick either to the right or to the left, it might have been good, might have been bad. But the kicks that come straight backwards, they just hurt the worst. Even if you're not in a worse position, when you just lose distance like that, it hurts your feelings, honestly. But it hurts your confidence on holes like this, where, man, it's a struggle to get up to the green in one shot. It's definitely a struggle to get up in two, and when you're off the fairway. And for Nate Sexton, he's just found himself in another difficult spot with honestly a similar shot just a few feet closer to the basket.
And he's going to be able to try and play the skip off the road, which will bring him towards the pin. Nate Sexton, I'm sure, ready to get off of hole number 7 here. I think we talked about it earlier, how difficult hole 7 is. I think that's one of the maybe 5 or 6, maybe even the 7th most difficult hole found on the course. When you're playing that stretch of holes 6 and 7, and then eventually hole 9 in just a few moments, this is a part of the course where you definitely have to grind it out.
And if you want some more in-depth detail about the statistics and the hole difficulties, you can visit udisclive.com and pull up those stroke and scoring averages. We have spotty coverage out here, so sometimes we're able to access those, sometimes we're not, but you should definitely check those out to understand just how difficult this course is. Ricky, after a bad kick, makes his second shot look pretty easy and has put himself likely inside 10 to 15 feet.
And a moment ago I did mention how tough this hole it is. In fact, the 3rd most difficult hole that these players have seen so far today. And Barsby almost throwing one in from downtown Worcester. I think that's how it's said anyway, Worcester?
That's right, Worcester. And when we were renting our car, Jeremy Rusko and Bobby Brown, both with Dynamic Discs, I had a bit of difficulty pronouncing the names as the locals do here, so we got a good laugh at that. Maybe just call them up sometime and spell out the word, and say, hey, how do you pronounce this? You'll get a good laugh out of it.
Well, you guys also refer to Target as Target over there in Emporia, do you not?
Yeah, because we're fancy, and so that's what we do. And that's been James Conrad's distance, 40 to 45 feet. Those step-through putts, he has been absolutely deadly, almost always drawing metal, and as we saw in yesterday's coverage, making a lot of them. So he'll convert for the birdie 2 on this 3rd most difficult hole in the course, hole number 7. And after some difficulties on the right side of the fairway, Nate Sexton puts in for his bogey 4.
Wysocki able to get up and down. A lefty putt. Holy cow, seen exclusively here on Smashbox Live. We'll be back with hole 8 in just a moment.
Spectacular views like these and championship-level play like this can mean only one thing. It's time for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. 2 days of disc golf, craft beer, mountain biking, and rock climbing. Featuring live music from Cat Wright, Red Barat, and more. Also the 2017 Discraft Green Mountain Championship, the biggest disc golf event in New England. Special group rates on lodging are available. Call today and stay while you play.
Nate got a 4.
And after a great birdie on hole number 7, James Conrad will take the tee here on 8.
Hole 8 over the water, James Conrad opts for a shark 3, and he's asking it for it to get down. It does get down just outside the circle. One of the, I guess, lesser thrown discs than the Innova lineup right now, but James Conrad absolutely makes it work.
Ricky opts for the forehand going out to this left side. He's going to play this hillside, hopefully, and he'll find himself inside the circle. Looking at a birdie putting downhill. Gregg Barsby's going with the forehand as well. And speaking of discs that are not necessarily commonly thrown, that would be a Banshee. However, if anyone can make it work well, it's Gregg Barsby. Barsby's effort comes up short and finds the water. Looks like Nate Sexton's trying to dial it in. Fights to the trees. Let's check in with the women from a shorter tee.
We advance to hole 8. 250 feet to clear the water. The distance shouldn't be the issue. You just want to be straight. Paige Pierce lays that a little bit left. It kicks, and it is safe. Safe by about 2 feet. She will have an obstructed putt for birdie, but she's safe. Jessica Weese misses by a foot. Catrina Allen. Very nice shot. Skips left. She's got about a 32-footer for birdie. And Valarie Jenkins gets off her first good drive since hole 2. Well done, Valarie. Welcome back. Just in time. Maple Hill on a cold and rainy final day. Valarie Jenkins has lost 7 strokes in the last 4 rounds. She's now tied for the lead. She's got to remember Paige Pierce's putt from almost the exact same position that went in the water yesterday. She takes a pause and a breath. Valarie Jenkins for a birdie. Count it. Clutch putt by Valarie Jenkins. Paige Pierce. Obstructed putt for birdie. And Valarie Jenkins takes the lead right back.
And Barsby, really two, I'll say flirtations there. He was flirting not only with possibly putting it in and saving the penalty par, but he was also then flirting with the water's edge at one point. So it was a split between the two of those.
That was an extremely aggressive, now third shot with his penalty throw for Gregg Barsby, but he's trying not to lose as much ground as possible as he can on this hole.
During the opening round, I saw Ricky Wysocki put himself inside the circle here and not convert. In fact, I think my jaw had dropped because that so rarely happens. He's just inside that same spot that I found him here on Thursday. But first we'll have James Conrad throwing from just about circle's edge as well. Wow, James Conrad lines it up and has no problems from just outside the circle. This is Wysocki for birdie. Again, low wind to speak of. We are dealing with the constant rain, but relatively low wind conditions out here. Routine for Sexton. He's going to tap in, so the entire card is going to pick up 2 strokes on Gregg Barsby. That is a momentum changer if Ricky's ever said so. We're moving on to the toughest hole according to par on the course, hole 9. We'll be back in a moment.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
Good to go?
Yeah, we're good. We're all good.
You got scores, yeah, there's the scores, but I don't know where Greg is. He's there. He's following.
And we're back with the group here, confirming that we're all good to go. We'd like to thank all of our groups throughout the year who have so patiently waited anytime we've made sure to run any assets or words from our sponsors.
Yeah.
And our lead card has somewhat become accustomed to the somewhat needed pace and flow that can be found here when playing on this lead card. We'd also like to thank, of course, all our supporting sponsors here on the 2017 Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Come on. Come on. Gosh. That's so good. Yeah, so far left. That one you gotta be.
And Wysocki just misses one of the trees on the left side. It's trying to fight back towards the fairway.
That's worked out. Yeah. Nice, Nate. A little too far right, I think, but we'll see.
And that is on the right side near the trees.
Come on. Yeah.
We advance to hole 9, very challenging par 4 up and over the hill, and then down to the right. Valarie Jenkins on the tee. She is going to be happy with that drive. It is off to the right a little bit, but she's got to look, and Paige Pierce is going to be even happier with that drive. She has a beautiful look at the island green. Catrina Allen and Jessica Weese finish their tee shots. Let's go see how Valarie approaches this second shot onto the peninsula green. That keeps turning. It does not. It kicks OB. Valarie Jenkins will have a long putt for par. Paige Pierce, second shot. Can she set herself up for birdie? Lands in the wood chip, skips well past. She has a very daunting putt towards the water. Valarie Jenkins for par. So Valarie will be carding the bogey. Paige Pierce lays up her birdie putt. We are all knotted again through 9 with 9 to go.
Ricky Wysocki's opted for a jump putt approach, asking for it to go, and it slipped out. It looked like it slipped out of his hand a bit early and finished to the left, but he's got about 28-30 feet for his par 3 here.
James is able to step through with his backhand, and it's coming in at the basket. It gets a little action off the ground and goes right past it. He'll have a 25 or so foot comebacker.
Yes, but a daunting one at that. The rock, I guess, retaining wall that forms the edge of this island is only about 10 feet from the basket, and from James's perspective, he'll have a difficult decision to make whether he decides to run that putt or lay up and take a bogey 4 here. Gregg's AVR approach is good, finishing just a little bit left, but settles about 15 feet from the basket. He's got a pretty routine look at his par 3 here.
And Sexton finds himself on the right-hand side. He does seem to have a look at the basket from here. We're going to see somewhat of a lunging jump putt. And with his dart, he's doing just that. What a solid approach there by Nate Sexton. And even more importantly, it sits down for him. We saw that it could easily get up and skip on you with these relatively fast wood chips that are out here on this new green that we find here on hole number 9, thanks to Dave and Todd Dodge and the rest of the family and all the incredible staff and crew that come out to make the Maple Hill Gold Course exactly what it is, one of the top courses in the country. And this is a new addition. I know you haven't been here in the past, Robert, but this wall that's been built up for this green is just a really nice finishing touch here on hole 9.
Absolutely. It's extremely picturesque, but I guess it lulls you into thinking, hey, this is a fun course. But this is, as we said before, this hole is playing as the number 1 most difficult hole on the course, playing quite a bit over par. And it's because this is a par 3. It's a little under 400 feet, I believe, 390 or something.
420,
like that.
actually.
420, okay, my fault. The distance isn't the problem. It's straight uphill and then straight back downhill to this island green. And when you're throwing uphill, if you haven't played disc golf a whole lot, when you're throwing uphill, that causes you to put your disc nose higher in the air, and it's really difficult to control the stability as much when the disc is nose up like that. So reaching the flat part of this fairway is extremely difficult. That's why we see so few twos here that aren't just throw-ins.
And from the left side, it looks like Wysocki has lined himself up. I know he was challenged earlier in the week by throwing one of his approach shots wide and into the water, so that may have prompted him for the backhand lunging jump putt that we saw from him during his approach. But now he's got some work to do from this left side. And rarely do you see a putt from Ricky Wysocki not draw metal of any kind.
Yeah, it looked like he was a bit obstructed, but still, it's just like you said, most of the time that hits metal or he makes it. So I don't know if you could call that an unforced error here or not, but certainly a surprising one.
What's not surprising is how comfortable the upper park disc golf bags are. So if you need to go out and get yourself a bag, put on your back for those long rounds out here at Maple Hill and beyond, please do so. Find yourself an upper park bag. And if you already have an upper park bag, maybe you need a Zuka cart, who are also a proud supporting sponsor here on the 2017 Disc Golf Pro Tour. Just short, in and out for James Conrad. He had that straddle that was slightly uphill, and hole 9 proving to be just as bit of tough as the scores say they are.
Absolutely, and James's putt was maybe 1 inch from going in. Half of the disc was in, half of it wasn't, and it just stayed out. Gregg Barsby is going to take a nice par 3 here. That feels, man, 3 really feels like a birdie on this hole.
Wysocki will tap in. We hear a monstrous roar. One has to think, once we check UDisc Live, is Eagle McMahon or possibly Paul Macbeth, who are both shooting hot here. We'll see if they're trying to run down this lead card. We'll be back with you in a few moments on hole 10.
For driving with power or into a headwind, Vibram designed a distance driver with amazing glide and a strong, predictable fade. It is the ideal disc for big arms, forehand drives, and smooth right-to-left finishes. Introducing the Olace from Vibram. Durability, grip, performance.
For looks, for life, for Lincoln.
It's okay, Robert. But yeah.
All right, we're live.
We're good.
And a power forehand here by Nate Sexton puts him in really good position here on hole number 10. We talked about it at great length yesterday. If hole 9 is considered to be the toughest hole on the course, hole 10, according to par, is actually the easiest hole on the course. We should see plenty of birdie threes.
2 nearly picture-perfect forehands to start off this hole. Gregg Barsby following Nate Sexton's lead here.
James Conrad, however, will not be throwing a forehand. Earlier in the week, I overheard Paul Macbeth saying that if he gets a good pull on this, he feels like he can actually get up there and give himself a putt at the Eagle 2 from here.
That's just a little silly. It's an extremely obscured angle and a really late turning backhand shot to get there.
And not only do you need the power, but you need a great angle as you come in, because anything with too much turnover on it may catch an edge and actually cut roll or roll back down the hill. And as we know, throwing up hills, well, it's never any fun.
Right, and if it's too flat, it can just cruise down the hill quite a bit farther away. And so James Conrad just put a sweet move on that. We no doubt will see Ricky Wysocki with a power forehand here.
And Quickie Ricky up to throw. Let's check in with the women from hole 10.
So we move on to holes 10, 11, and 12. Maple Hills Amen Corner, all par 4s, all long distance. Paige Pierce has an opportunity to, well, wish she had a better drive. Valarie Jenkins on the tee. Valarie puts that in very good position, a beautiful left to right curve. Here's Paige's second shot. That pans off right. She's going to have about 25 feet to the elevated basket for birdie. Valarie Jenkins. Straight as a string. About 15 feet short. Paige Pierce off the cage for birdie. Now Valarie Jenkins to take the lead. Count it. Valarie Jenkins, up, down, up. Here we go to hole 11.
And welcome back to hole 10 out here at the Maple Hill Disc Golf Course at the 2017 Vibram Open. Hole 9 is played as the most difficult hole on the course all week, and hole 10 is played as the easiest, what some people might call a soft par 4, more of a 3.5, where it's not likely that we'll see any Eagle 2s, but very unlikely to see numbers much higher than a 4. A lot of our pro field will be taking 3s on this hole. Of the 3 forehand throwers, Ricky Wysocki's was the tightest to the trees. So he is closest to the pin, but has a little bit more difficult angle. Gregg Barsby opts for his uphill forehand shot. He catches the very last tree on the left side and sits down. He'll likely be at circle's edge or a little outside for his look at a birdie 3. Nate Sexton will be next to throw, and it looks as if he's got his R-Pro dart in his hand. Nate's shot doesn't have hardly any turn on it out of his hand, and he misses pretty wide right of where he was aiming. That's going to be just at circle 2's edge, so about 66 feet away from the basket for his look at a birdie 3. Ricky Wysocki opts for a wide Anheuser jump putt to put himself inside the circle, he does garner some applause from the gallery at the top of the hill. Standing down at the bottom of the hill, it's really difficult to know where your disc lands, because if it's still in the air going by the basket, it could be right by the basket, it could be 30 deep, it could be a few feet short. So our players really have to determine their speed control and their angle ahead of time and really execute.
A solid approach shot there by James Conrad as we move up the fairway. A moment ago, Robert, we saw the approach shots by Nate Sexton, and I got to say that seemed as if that might have been a little bit of an unforced error, also very uncharacteristic.
Absolutely. Both Gregg Barsby and Nate Sexton have two of the best forehands and touch forehands in the game, so pretty surprising to not see them execute this uphill, relatively open approach shot.
And a run there by Sexton. However, he's going to walk away with a par 4 here on hole number 10. And Barsby giving it plenty of height. In fact, just a little too much as he hits off the top of the cage.
Where we said that a 3 feels like a birdie on hole 9, a 4, while it's a par on hole 10, really feels like a bogey. I know that both Barsby and Nate Sexton will not be pleased with their approach shots and will be kicking themselves over a bit of a missed opportunity here. Ricky Wysocki converts from around 15 feet uphill to an elevated basket. He'll be claiming the birdie 3 here.
And both Cale Leviska along with Eagle McMahon charging. They're sitting at 4 under for the round. We're going to move over to get the tee shots from the long, hole number 11.
Thrown Innova and competed with Innova. I don't think I'd be playing the sport if it wasn't for him creating the disc itself and then just taking it to the next level over and over and over again. How great the discs are themselves. It's really gained my trust, and I don't think I would be here without Innova. I don't see myself doing anything else.
This is Dan, and this is Tyler. Dan and Tyler like disc, and they like beer, so they combine them in a rigorous scientific process. Disc Golf, a card game that challenges your disc skills, drinking ability, and your friendships. With 3 categories and over 50 individual cards, mix and match. Get rid of cards you don't like, or make your own rules. Disc Golf is truly American.
Welcome back to hole number 11, measuring in at 780 feet. And whether that's 780 feet or 12,000 feet, you really can't tell as the fog has overcome this second half of the hole. Looks like James Conrad will be first to tee. And the play here is that you get all the way over the Christmas trees that are approximately 400 to 500 feet in front of us. That will give you a open shot, at least towards the basket. If you're going to go left or right of the fairway, you want to be left side so that you have a backhand hyzer. That's assuming that's your preferred shot. That also seems to be where the largest gap can be played from, is that left side. And it looks like we've got some of our second card still down the fairway. In the meantime, we see Ricky Wysocki sitting at 22 under par, Gregg Barsby at 19 under, Nate Sexton at 18, James Conrad at 20. And a moment ago I talked about Cale LaVisca and Eagle McMahon sitting at 4 under par. We also saw that Simon Lizotte is currently shooting one of the hottest rounds of the day. He's sitting at 5 under par. So although there are a few players making a charge, we'll have to see how we play out during this last half of the course.
Hole 11 here is a par 4 that plays 780 feet, and I just checked the tee sign here, and they've got distances marked off for reaching the ideal landing zones. And so for our players to reach the ideal landing zone, which is past all the Christmas trees, kind of in the middle of the fairway, is a 480-foot shot. Now, it is a downhill shot, but I would assume the distance probably feels and plays a lot like the tee shot from hole 1, where the tee shot from hole 1 is 475 feet to that crosses the pond straight out. And so these players, while they'll be throwing a different shape of the tee shot, will be throwing a similar distance, if not just a little bit more. I think they can get a little bit more aggressive on this tee shot because finishing to the left is advantageous, so they can just take something overstable and throw it almost as hard as they want to try and find a spot on the left to approach the green.
And this is the first time we've experienced any form of backup here today. The tee times were separated all morning to a 15-minute interval, and that included the women. There was a cut to the top 12 women, which of course you've been watching that play out throughout this show thus far, and then a cut to the top 72 men. So very exciting here. If you made the cut today, you are officially getting paid here at the 2017 Vibram Open. And unleashing is James Conrad. However, that is hyzering out and finishing on the left side. Virtually no turn to his driver there. Ricky looks to be lining up a little bit more of a hyzer angle. And Ricky not pleased with his efforts. Lucky there's no ornaments on the tree near the tee here.
He hasn't thrown a bad drive. It just wasn't as flat as he wanted. That was a very overstable disc, so Ricky was playing right side of the fairway to shorten up his approach shot.
And Nate Sexton relying on the backhand. We'll see if the wind is pushing. It's at our back. So to see that carrying so far to the right, eventually getting a gentle finish, he'll find himself right side of the fairway, setting up for a great forehand. And like Conrad's, we're seeing that finish left side, as we saw a number of them yesterday do the exact same. And as our players move down the fairway, Robert, you and I can get a quick catch up here before we're going to let them head on down. And first and foremost, we have to say it's actually let up just a little bit here.
Yeah, the rain has subsided, at least for the time being. So we don't want to say a whole lot about it because we don't want it to come back. And you know how jinxes work.
Yeah, I think you owe me a Coke.
Yeah.
So what we actually saw there, and not only was it one of the longest drives that you find on this course, but you saw Nate Sexton and Ricky Wysocki shed a layer here before teeing off. So that could be in order to loosen the restrictions from them throwing, but also, again, the rain has at the moment stopped, and that's great to see. We might get through the rest of this round in some clear weather.
Which would be awesome. And actually, the wind has died down a bit, too. Now, it's still a little bit windy, certainly more than yesterday, but it sounds like the first 2 days were quite a bit more windy than they are today. And so we do have some good scoring conditions, nice cool weather. As long as our players keep their footing and can keep their discs dry and they have an adequate number of towels, I think that we could see a pretty solid scoring finish to the end of our round with our lead card here.
Well, and speaking of solid scoring, right now, if I pull up the UDisc Live app, as you guys are probably also paying attention to, we see that Paul McBeth is having one of the best rounds out there this round. He is at 4 under through hole 11 and has now pushed himself into a tie for second place. So we absolutely cannot count himself out. Correction, he is 1 stroke still behind James Conrad. He is in a tie for third with Gregg Barsby. So he has moved himself into the top 4, and we're watching Nate Sexton actually get pushed down by that score. Eagle McMahon, who is 3 under par, is at 17 under par. So 3 under for the round and 17 overall. So I would say this is far from over. We have a lot of very challenging holes left. The conditions may help out these players, but if Paul McBeth is charging or an Eagle McMahon, they could very quietly come up and sneak onto that top spot.
Absolutely. And yeah, we've got where it was a little bit, our lead card was spaced out a little bit more. Now we're starting to see scores intermingle a little bit. And so with the weather, as we said earlier, we're going to see a lot of different scoring separation on several different holes out here. And it looks like that is exactly what's happening. It's shaping up to be a great finish. And if you are enjoying following along with our live scoring, go ahead and thank the guys at UDisc, Josh and Matt. They take care of business and make this a really enjoyable event to be a part of. Even more than if you're enjoying following along with our players, if you want to have a chance to play with some of our players, which, I mean, is a dream of mine. I don't know about.
There's some good players, and, well, playing with you.
Well,
okay,
yeah,
there's other players.
That's right, yeah, other players. But if you do want a chance to play with some of our players, we've got a Luck of the Draw skins match, doubles, which is coming up this coming Tuesday, September 5th. That's in Manchester, New Hampshire, at a course called the Hollows Disc Golf Course. And we'll have 3 players there, 3 former, well, actually, and current, some of them, world champions, who you might have a chance to play doubles with if you buy some raffle tickets. So that's 2010 world champion Eric McCabe, and then reigning world champions Paige Pierce and Ricky Wysocki. So if you are near the Hollows, if you're near New Hampshire or in the Northeast at all, I absolutely think it's worth your time to come out and give that event a chance. You do have an opportunity to play with one of those players as your doubles partner for that hole. And it's just a really, really cool experience. We've done a couple of them so far, and we'll be doing more that'll follow around Ricky and Paige's tour next year. So if you're interested in that, reach out to them. Tell them that you'd like to run a Luck of the Draw doubles event in your area. I think it's a great way to get involved with the players and to see them in a competitive space, but not quite as competitive a space where they get to have a little bit more fun and let loose, which has been really, really cool.
I heard a gentleman yesterday as he was walking through the gallery, he said, I'll see you on Tuesday out there, Ricky. He said, I already have a ticket. I already have a golden ticket.
There you go. That's a guaranteed opportunity to play with one of our players if they bought a golden ticket.
Okay, so that I thought they may be going to find Willy Wonka at the Chocolate Factory.
Not this time.
But then again, I have different things on my mind. Also, next year and for the following 2 years after that, so for the next 3 years, you can visit Emporia, not just for the Glassblown Open, but also for the Junior World Championships that will be taking place, and that's very exciting. Emporia has opened their doors to disc golfers for a number of years now, and you guys have proven over at Dynamic Disc that you can put on a massive event, PDGA Majors, and for the next 3 years, we're going to welcome hundreds and hundreds of junior competitors over to Emporia. That's going to be an exciting time for Emporia and for disc golf.
Absolutely. I am elated that we have the Junior World Championships in Emporia, Kansas. Bobby Brown and myself went and attended AmWorlds earlier this year to just to keep up with some amateur players, meet up with some of our team players at Dynamic Discs, and And I think the thing that we enjoyed the absolute most was getting to see the juniors play. We saw the 6 and under division, 8 and under division, and then even some of our 18, 19 and under players just have such talent, such a drive to succeed. And so we're excited to foster that and to grow disc golf through the Junior World Championships for the next 3 years and hopefully for the years to come.
Well, it is great to see. I'm going to see if I can get one or both of my daughters maybe even to compete in their first World Championships, and there's no better place to do it than Emporia over the next 3 years. As some of you already know, we are challenged by cellular signal on the holes of 11, 12, and a little bit on 13 as well. So at the moment, we're going to try and run around the course, give you some action, some coverage from other places. We also still have the recorded coverage from the women that came in as they played holes 11, 12, and 13. Again, thanks to Steve and Todd Dodge for editing those together and getting those over to our producer in Milwaukee. So you will be able to see this battle as it continues to unfold. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. We saw Paige off with a bogey on the first hole, and it seems like she's been maintaining that par train, where Val Jenkins, on the other hand, has had her struggles. I was calling her the queen of pars earlier in the week. I feel like out of 54 holes, she had at least 45 pars. Today, it's been a little bit more of a struggle. So we'll watch as that unfolds throughout their remaining back half of this round. We'll also be able to give you a few tee shots, possibly from 13. However, the green may be completely engulfed by the haze and the shade and everything else that's coming over us here. We feel the fog, we feel the rain picking up, but we're going to give you as much action as we can. Stay tuned. You're watching the 2017 Vibram Open. Enjoy the extra coverage and take a listen to a word from our sponsors. We'll be back in a bit.
We come to the longest hole on the course for the women. Valarie Jenkins leads Paige Pierce by 1. 11 and 12 are places where Paige Pierce should have the advantage because of her distance. Valarie puts that out to the left. Paige Pierce. Kaboom! That is a beautiful left to right Annie. Or not even an Annie, just a big left to right. She overpowered that disc and made it get down the fairway. Yesterday, Valarie Jenkins took her second shot. Here's Catrina on the tee. Took her second shot and put it left of the pin. She had a nice up and down to save the par. And Paige Pierce had an opportunity at birdie. So this is a hole where Paige Pierce could take the lead. Here's Jessica Weese on the tee. A nice drive by Jessica Weese. She seems to be playing well, but she's not putting very well today. It's got to be cold hands. It's 54 degrees, rainy, a little bit of wind. Here's Valarie's second shot. She leaves that well short to the left. She's got about 120 feet to get to the pin, and Paige Pierce is attacking. And she's rolled about 35 feet away. A very tough break for Paige Pierce. She gave herself a good opportunity at the birdie until that roll. Valarie Jenkins puts it about 20 feet away. She should be able to card that par. And Jessica Weese for birdie. Some days the weather affects our game. Paige Pierce for birdie and the lead. Off the top. Paige left one out there that time. Jessica Weese to save par. Let's call that a bogey. And this is Catrina Allen after a great drive and another great upshot. This is for birdie. She's been struggling this round. This would be a nice little start to hopefully a strong back nine. She's currently solidly in 3rd place. And Valarie Jenkins, for par, trying to get that disc dry. In. So we are moving on from hole 11 with Paige Pierce missing the opportunity at a birdie and Valarie managing to save the par. It feels like the momentum has swung and it's just a matter of time before Paige takes over, but for the time being, we are all tied up with 7 holes to go.
Spectacular views like these and championship level play like this can mean only one thing. It's time for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. 2 days of disc golf, craft beer, mountain biking, and rock climbing. Featuring live music from Cat Wright, Red Barat, and more. Also the 2017 Discraft Green Mountain Championship, the biggest disc golf event in New England. Special group rates on lodging are available. Call today and stay while you play.
So anything you're saying?
close enough, I'll let him look at it, but it's definitely out. What?
And we advance to hole 12. Valarie Jenkins clinging to her one-stroke lead over Paige Pierce. She puts out a good tee shot that's going to clear the trees, and she's going to have a really good look at the alleyway going down to the pin just over that rise. Paige Pierce knew she put that too high. It hangs off way left. She was hoping to have a good look at birdie on this. Instead, she's going to have a difficult up and down. Valarie Jenkins' second shot into the maw. She will have a relatively easy up and down for the par. Paige's second shot gets knocked down. It was a little tight left. Here's her third shot looking right down at the pin. Puts a little bit too much follow through on that. It comes out to the right. She's got about 35 feet to save par. And this is Valarie's third shot on this par 4 hole 12. Under the pin. So it comes to this. We are still tied through 12. Coming up on hole 13, one of the most difficult holes on the course.
At Disc Golf Center, we strive to provide the best customer service and value. With our live inventory of over 20,000 discs, we have the widest selection and the best prices. Check out discgolfcenter.com to see what we have to offer, including free shipping within the United States on all orders over $12 and a customer rewards program that gets better over time. Visit discgolfcenter.com, the world's largest disc golf store.
Step. 15.
Yeah, well, we didn't want to move it.
We move on to hole 13. Yesterday, this was Valarie Jenkins' only bogey on the course. She leads Paige Pierce by 1. And the wind says no thank you. She is in trouble on hole 13. Paige Pierce puts that a little bit high. It drifts off to the right. It's going to fight through. She actually has a look at birdie from about 35 feet past the pin. We do a quick jump to Catrina Allen, who shows us how it is supposed to be done. You see the rain coming down in sheets. Catrina Allen's second shot. Birdie! Nice little dance by Catrina. Here's Valarie's out. She wants to be to the right of that big tree and as close to it as possible. That was not a good out. Here's her third shot, which also fails hard left. Paige Pierce misses the birdie. This is Valarie Jenkins to save bogey. And just like that, Paige Pierce is up by 1 with 6 holes to play, or maybe 5.
I feel for anybody that has bad days just because we all have them. So I always try to tell people let's just keep going, keep moving. It's just one shot. The same thing I would tell myself. Try to give them a little reinforcement even as a competitor, because the better your competitors play, you're going to try to play better than that also. So just try to positive vibe, push something out there and give them a little word of confidence.
I try to encourage them. It's tough. It's really tough because we've all been there where you kind of get into this cycle of despair. It's like disc golf, that happens in disc golf to all of us, and you know what it feels like, and it's tough to know the right thing to say to somebody.
It's just a situational thing. If it's one of my best friends, I'm going to try to help him out and be like, hey, come on, man, you got this. And if it's someone I don't know, I'm kind of just going to be like, well, you're kind of on your own. I don't know you. I'm not going to approach you like, hey, you got it. It's a hard thing to help someone with when you don't know them.
Can that affect your game when it happens?
Yeah. There's people who freak out all the time and are known for that. And it affects people in the group, but sometimes you just have to look past it and just worry about yourself and let them do what they're going to do, because they're going to do it no matter what.
Sure, yeah. I actually, I'm a big advocate of kind of like a good mojo amongst the group and how that can positively influence everybody. So I always try and root for everybody on the card. I think if you're ever in a position where you're rooting for somebody not rooting for somebody, and then they do good stuff, it can negatively impact you. And so it's always about trying to keep a positive energy on the card, and ultimately all moving up on I actually think that's a really important thing, and people you're playing with and everybody staying positive, getting along, rooting for each other, that kind of feeling that everybody has, I think leads to success.
No, 5.
5-13. Yeah, that's when it's supposed to be its worst. 6-4.
And thank you for rejoining us here live on the tee of 13. We're going to do our best to give you the tee shots before we then move over to the tee of 14. I just heard a moment ago our entire lead card carding 4s on hole 12, and the conditions have made a significant turn for the worse. Barsby's going with the forehand. He wants it to get a little bit left. However, it's too stable, but does get a kick. That's one way to adjust the stability. Kick off something on the right side, bouncing him right into the center of the fairway.
I've always been a fan. Well, I guess I haven't always been a fan, but a lot of people are a fan of the term tree direction. So that's what Greg just got there.
I thought you were more of a One Direction fan myself.
Yeah, boy bands are kind of my jam, personally. Don't like to share about it a lot, though, so thanks for bringing it up.
And I'm not sure if that was a slip or not, but that is headed straight left by James Conrad. He was feeling his palms afterwards. This is Wysocki he also feels as if he slipped, and we're seeing that take a goofy turn, hit off the tree, then cut roll to the right, and it was almost as if the sun came out of nowhere. Well, there's not really sun, but a bright light. I'm not sure if we have a backwards lunar solar eclipse. I don't know. It got much brighter, did it not, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, just in the last few seconds. Nate Sexton's throwing a beautiful Firebird shot. Just a late kick. That's fine, though.
As our competitors are going to move down the fairway again, we do not have signal that wants to cooperate down there. And it can weird brightness about us. A few months about it with getting near bedtime. Well, for some, 7, 8 o'clock in the moments. We'll be back and sit back and just some more action on hole 14.
And we go to hole 14. For 66 holes, Valarie Jenkins has held the lead. And here we are with 5 to go. And Paige Pierce leads by 1. She has got some pop. And that disc is 25 feet short. Sorry, 25 feet left. She's got a 25-foot putt for birdie. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, let's get to Valarie on the tee once she gets her disc dry. Here we go. Valarie Jenkins puts it up. That fades left. She's going to have about 35 to 40 feet. And here's Jessica Weese on the tee. Trying to thrill us with an ace run. Oh, just short. A great run by Jessica Weese. After 2 layups, Valarie Jenkins has this for par. And Paige Pierce for par. And we are moving on to hole 15. Paige Pierce with a 1-stroke lead.
Welcome back to the green of hole number 14. One of our amazing cameramen, Chad, have been hustling around trying to find as much action as we can. We're glad you could join us for this final rainy round here at the 2017 Vibram Open. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, joined by Robert McCall. And now it looks as if our chase card are looking for some disc off on this left-hand side. If you're standing on the tee, it would be the left-hand side of the fairway. We have certainly seen our fair share of shortened tournaments over the last now year. Of course, things kicked off really with the controversial call over at the USDGC. Well, controversial by some. If you were smart and considered safety, it wasn't maybe so controversial. But the USDGC, of course, shortened, giving Big Germ his, well, we'll call it a win.
3/4 win.
His 3/4 win, as we love to give Big Germ a hard time about it. And then we've seen the glass blown earlier. Very difficult call had to be made. The Nick Hyde had to be called short, again, due to conditions. It's been a pretty wild year thus far in terms of weather conditions and playing disc golf.
Yeah, it was so strange, and that it's been the same sort of thing at each of the tournaments. It's not like it's been downpour, 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 and then all of a sudden it's, oh, lightning, all right, let's cancel it. At Glassblown Open this year, our first day of competition was picture perfect. I mean, perfect temperatures, hardly any wind, which is not what happens usually at the Glassblown Open. And then same thing here today. I don't think that we'll have to cancel today's round. I'm very hopeful that we won't have to. But if we did, the day before, yesterday was just perfect weather. And so yeah, it's been strange that a storm or lightning or whatever it is just rolls in and cuts the event short. Important for everyone's safety, but frustrating nevertheless.
Well, and it has been crazy to see that it's been happening during our final round of competition as well. The Nick Hyde, again, final round. The final round taking place over at the USDGC. Same thing to be said of Glassblown. All of those days, it was what was to be scheduled as the final round of competition. So, pro tip this year, if you want to win, just make sure you're leading by the end of the second to last round.
Yeah, and earlier in the year, people were saying that's the only way that Paul McBeth could win. And, you know, man, those people were smart people because he hasn't gone on to win several tournaments and, you know, reproved his dominance.
Well, we are seeing right now that playing in a dominant fashion are Eagle McMahon and Paul McBeth. Right now, they are both shooting very hot. We see Eagle in a tie for fourth with Paul McBeth. They're at 5 down and 4 down for the rounds, putting them at 19 overall, respectively, along with Nathan Sexton here on our card. So we have actually a 3-way tie right now for fourth place. And what's interesting, if you scroll just a few slots down on the leaderboard, using our Nico arrows, we have Simon Lizotte scorching with an 8 under. And what a putt by Eagle McMahon. So Eagle is going to, in fact, move up into a tie for second momentarily with James Conrad and Gregg Barsby.
That's an absolute death putt, by the way. Just staring at the water. Any miss goes in the water, and Eagle has no fear and just jams it.
Again, Simon Lizotte, he's in the clubhouse, actually, with his 8 under for the day, which is by far the best score that we're seeing. The next best score is at the 5 under par that we were just talking about by McBeth and McMahon.
I saw earlier today, and he didn't have a great start to the week, but Justin Keegan actually shot a bogey-free 6 under par 54 today. That is killer. That's killer on any day, but definitely killer today.
Well, and it's also great to see some of the others out there having a good day. One person of note, because we saw him the last 2 days on the leader card, would be Nicholas Masters. So if you've been following along with him, he unfortunately took a dip today. He, in fact, dropped 15 spots as of right now, down to a tie for 22nd place as he sits at -7. He gave up 7 strokes on the bad side of par today. So he shot a +7. He was at -14. He comes in at -7 for the tournament and is sitting at 22 under. Correction, he is through hole 15. So he has a little bit left in him. The question is, does he want to be done and just take his +7 and move on, or is he going to try and come back from a little bit of that? AJ Risley sitting at -8 along with Steve Brinster, as well as Discraft's own Michael Johansson. We see Josh Anthon, Sepu Payu, Drew Gibson all sitting at 10 under par, at tied for 15th. Zach Melton at 9 under is in a sole possession of 18th place at the moment. So Nate Doss must have taken a little bit of a dip here. He was shooting pretty hot this morning, and now that we've seen the last, he was 3 down through 5, and unfortunately he's bogeyed he's bogeyed 1 in the last few holes. So shout out to Peter McBride, who's celebrating his 21st birthday today. Happy birthday, Peter. Let's get some of that cake. I mean, for you.
Yeah, but we also will accept cake.
And Sexton with a backhand. He's going to find the inbounds area. He's going to be short, but he does find the inbounds area on the left side. Second to tee will be Gregg Barsby. And Barsby's also going to be safe on the left side. That is pushing hard, similar to where we saw Sexton's go. Oh, and Ricky Wysocki has hit one of the trees that overhang here on the 14th tee. James Conrad trying to bite off a little more than his fellow competitors. We're going to see Ricky Wysocki move to the drop zone. We're going to be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors.
Achieving greatness requires hundreds of days of preparation, which is why the people at Vibram have worked for over 3 years to make their first ever distance driver the longest and straightest in the game. Introducing the new Vibram Lace, helping you achieve your greatness. And Wysocki playing out over the fatter part of the fairway with his forehand approach shot. And Wen's got to say that right now, with the penalty here on hole 14 and what looks to be a bogey 4, he has officially just opened the door even further for Eagle McMahon, who is charging hard from the second card, for Eagle to come up and try and catch or get a piece of the lead here. Things continue to heat up, even though we're freezing and standing in the rain out here at the Maple Hill Gold Course. A moment ago you saw Mark Wysocki out fetching the disc out of the water. And Robert, I was just saying a moment ago, with what seems to be the bogey by Wysocki, Eagle McMahon could either have the lead or a share of the lead if he continues to charge like this.
Yeah, absolutely. We won't know until we get a little bit better cell signal and we can update our scores. But yeah, big 2 by Eagle on this hole. Ricky will likely tap in a 4. So we've definitely got some movement with just a few holes to go. Quick note, if you're ever in a gallery or spectating at an event like this one, we just experienced a little bit of a gallery faux pas in that Nate Sexton's drive was coming in pretty nicely, got an unfortunate skip off one of the tee boxes for a different hole and skipped well into the woods. And as we approached his lie, several gallery members said, "Oh man, you got the worst skip. Oh, it went so far." Just point to where the disc is, please. That
and just shut up. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you can tell him lucky, but he knows it got lucky. Just allow him to throw the shot.
Leave the poor commentary to you and me. Really, that. And speaking of Steve Dodge, and there's a mistake.
Yeah.
I hope a gallery member didn't inform him that he just hit a tree directly in front of him. But
dear.
Too soon, I realize. But not trying to make light here of Nate Sexton, but that just proves how much trouble he's in over there on the left side of this fairway. However, I was saying a moment ago, thank you to Steve Dodge for all of the opportunities here with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, as we are here now playing on his home course. In fact, a number of our staff and helpers have been put up at Steve Dodge's house for the weekend. His mom is out here parking cars, and this is truly a family event that's put on as one of the best tournaments in the world. And Sexton will have to just drop that in for the bogey 4 after fighting through this left-hand side of the fairway. James Conrad appears to have a relatively clean line at the basket. Obviously, this is just a layup. He's trying to put it as close to the basket without without throwing it into the water. This should be a pretty routine approach for James, knowing that he does not need to be aggressive. He's just trying to get up and down and walk away with a 3. I would have loved to see that get about 5 to 8 feet closer. Yeah, that's relatively close, but you would have loved just a little head knocker here.
Yeah, routine 15-footers can feel a little bit more daunting. So anything close to the basket, I mean, this is like a John Madden saying, anything close to the basket is good, but it's especially good today.
And although that was a run by Gregg Barsby, it didn't look like much of one with the wind and the rain pushing that down. And it is confirmed, as of right now, Eagle McMahon had now birdied hole 15, taking down the last 4 birdies. And right now, Eagle McMahon sits 1 stroke behind Wysocki. However, Wysocki's going to be tapping in for a bogey. So I think at the end of this hole, I think we're going to see a little bit of change up on this leaderboard.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be knotted up at the top, and that's going to make for an exciting finish with 3 attainable birdies left, but with plenty of out of bounds and lots of bad kicks that can happen out on the course. Truly anything can happen on these last 3 holes.
We saw a few years ago Ricky Wysocki all but had the win on hole 18. He threw it, it hit off of the rock wall near the gallery. It skipped OB, giving away the victory on the final hole. Today it's going to come down to 18. We're moving on right here at the Vibram Open.
For looks. For life. For liquor.
There's Terry. Yeah. Hey, Terry.
Welcome back here to hole number 15, measuring in at 325 feet. Hole 15 proved to be troublesome for a few of our competitors yesterday. Actually, I believe it's a little bit longer than 325 as we were standing at a slightly shorter tee. I believe this measures in at 350 or 355. And this is all about staying clean. If you hit off of an early tree and you kick left or right, as we said yesterday, not only are you throwing uphill, but you're also going to be fighting through a small forest of trees to find that basket.
Absolutely. Any early tree, even with a decent kick that goes straight down or puts you in a pretty good spot is almost insta-4. It's just so difficult once you're down in the valley to get up to the basket and navigate the trees that are so close to it.
We also know that Eagle McMahon continues to charge, so we may peel off of one of our catch cameraman, Chad, may peel off to go catch up with Eagle McMahon. We'll keep you guys up to date as we move. Here's Barsby off the tee. And Barsby does hit a tree, however, not too bad. We've seen much more punishing shots. That landed center fairway, just short.
Yes, it's a little downhill from the basket, but he's covered the worst part of the ravine, so he'll likely have either a forehand or just a little touch approach shot.
Oh, and James Conrad hits the exact same tree. It does fall backwards, also still relatively center of fairway. So not too punishing, but finds the exact same tree.
It's still not a very easy shot from down there. That's a tough break for James.
And the tree just left of the previous two shots was now hit by Nate Sexton. This is Ricky Wysocki. And Ricky opts for the forehand, or for the backhand for the first time this weekend. Seems to be the good play. He's driving all the way up to the basket, trying to keep Eagle McMahon at bay. We'll be back in a moment after the women on 15.
We move on to hole 15. Paige Pierce now leads Valarie Jenkins by 1. Catrina Allen is just 4 shots behind Valarie Jenkins. Paige Pierce tests the tee. She has still got good pop on the disc even after this cold and rainy day. She pulls that well right. She's about 35 feet out through thick woods. Valarie Jenkins now continuing to struggle. That goes right, and kicks back left. She is thankful. This is her second shot. She just wants to get close and save the par. She does not seem to have the pop you need, well, at the very least, to keep up with Paige Pierce right now. This is for par. Valarie Jenkins will be carding a bogey, presuming she can hit that save. And here's Paige Pierce for birdie, up and over the laurel. Fades off. She will be carding the par. Valarie Jenkins for bogey. The lead is now 2 with 3 holes to play.
James Conrad is first to approach. However, he hits one of the trees, still center fairway, and Conrad is going to give up at least a stroke here, possibly 2 to Wysocki if Wysocki can convert. However, we're still looking at Nate Sexton as well as Gregg Barsby, who both are going to have very difficult approaches. Eagle McMahon is charging on the second card. Paul Macbeth is still within contention, just 2 strokes off with 3 holes to play. We couldn't draw this drum up any better. Well, I would leave the rain out.
Yeah. I'd leave the rain out, and I'd get, probably better commentators as well.
Sure.
I mean, self-burn, but also you burn, so mission accomplished.
And Nate Sexton has some maneuvering to do. Again, challenging from down here in the middle of the gully or ravine area. You have to find not only your line, but also the right speed. And that looks to be a really good shot by Nate Sexton. Gregg Barsby will be next to throw. We'll see if we can get in better position for Barsby's approach shot. Again, Wysocki is just hanging back, knowing that he's going to have a putt from around circle's edge. Barsby also catches a tree. Who wants it more here, Robert?
We're trying to find out right now. These, as we said, these upshots are, when they're down the hill, it's just so hard to gauge your distance, and there are tight gaps once you're off the center gap of the fairway.
Conrad lunging forward with a jump putt. Again, hole number 15, just like we saw yesterday, coming out and showing its teeth here for these competitors. Eagle McMahon, however, putting on hole 16 here in just a moment. This will be to save the par.
And Barsby's bit is high and left, didn't have much of a chance, and he's visibly frustrated. He'll be left with about 15 feet for his bogey.
And like we're seeing here on 15, the bogey train has hit Eagle McMahon on 16. We're going to see where that's going to place him. So as Ricky and Eagle started holes 15 and 16 respectively, they were tied. As soon as Ricky taps out, or Ricky putts here on 15 and Eagle completes on 16, there may be a 2-stroke difference. And with that, Robert, it looks like Wysocki's going to reclaim the outright lead here with just holes 16, 17, and 18 to play.
Absolutely, but we heard a roar from the crowd just a minute ago. If that was a big putt for Macbeth, maybe for a deuce or something, I mean, he could be within a stroke or two.
And Sexton's able to still find the bottom of the basket. That's going to be for a bogey 4, however. Or correction, I'm sorry, that is a par save.
Fantastic up and down from in the ravine.
And a solid putt here by James Conrad as we're moving into the later portion of this round. Everyone's still maintaining composure, making the putts inside the circle, and those are going to be crucial because that could determine a difference of hundreds, if not thousands of dollars here. A solid putt by Barsby. We've got a short walk here to 16. We'll be back with you in a moment after a word from our sponsors on the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the Vibram Open.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park. For me, it's my job.
For me, it's fun.
And trying to move up the right side gap. It looks like it's turning late. We'll see if that has enough to hyzer back. And Ricky Wysocki's happy with that shot. I think you and I would be happy as well, Robert.
Absolutely. He, I believe he was trying to play a hyzer flip up the middle and got to the right side of the fairway, but leaked through a whole lot of the trees. So looks like he'll have a fairly easy up and down for his par 3. Maybe a long look at it too.
Sexton confirming he's second to tee. Sexton trying to go straight up the middle. That is a pure forehand that's finishing right. And he is out of the gap. Robert, what a shot.
A beautiful forehand. It stood up to flat, and it looked as if it was going to continue moving left, but just stayed flat and straight and pured the middle gap. Well done by Nate Sexton.
Barsby's is short, but it does get a great skip off the hillside. He's still waiting for it to go left. Not sure there's enough blinker fluid to hang a left there. And putting everything into it, trying to push through that left side, kicking out as James Conrad will be back in a moment after the women play hole 16.
And here we go to hole 16. The final 3 holes at Maple Hill definitely offer many challenges. This is a tight tunnel shot, a little over 500 feet. Paige hits an early tree, goes right. She will have a very difficult up and down for the 3, which would be a birdie. And that gives Valarie an opportunity here. And she pulls that right. If it keeps going, it kicks left. She should have a pretty easy up and down. This is classic Valarie Jenkins right here. A beautiful little left to right. She sets it within 12. That's an easy birdie for Valarie Jenkins. And Paige Pierce with a very tricky upshot. Which she executes perfectly. Very well done. These 2 ladies will be carding pars. Valarie with the par. Paige, par. We're moving on to hole 17. Paige Pierce leads by 2.
And what a run there by James Conrad. That was to the right. He had a pretty good looking line on it. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, Robert, that if Ricky Wysocki could convert on a birdie here, he might be able to walk this in.
Yeah, I don't foresee him getting in a lot of trouble on 17, and he could play 18 for a 4 if he had that 3-stroke lead. So this would be a fantastic birdie to get. This was a great group of drives by our gentlemen today, by the way.
And a solid approach there by Gregg Barsby. I'm not sure if he was saying that his hand got wet at the last moment. He was motioning as if his fingers were possibly wet or something. And Ricky is going to dry off his disc in his hands here. He looks to be about 55 feet from the pin. This could be the nail in the coffin here by Ricky. And short.
It's, as you were mentioning earlier, each throw is worth so much right now. Now that we're at the last few holes, we received the payout table just a little while ago, and the winner of this tournament will be receiving $2,500 for his efforts. Second place, $2,000, and third place, $1,500. So each of the top 3 spots separated by $500. That means we could have, a few $500 or $1,000 putts depending on the wind.
And Sexton just off the front. He needed about 3 more inches of height to be able to convert on that great drive. As you said, Robert, some very impressive drives, making it all the way out the gap here on hole 16. Sexton will tap in. The rest of the card will tap in. We're going to see 4 pars here on hole number 16. Ricky Wysocki with a 2-stroke advantage, but Eagle is putting for birdie on 17. We'll be back in a moment after a word from our sponsors. Ricky confirms we're good to go here on hole number 17. Let's see how the women did from the shorter tee earlier on 17.
We go to hole 17 at Maple Hill. Hole 18, it's easy to gain 1 stroke. It's possible to gain 2. 3, very unlikely. Paige Pierce probably wanted to get that a little bit farther, but she should be okay. It rolled out a little bit. And Valarie Jenkins just wants to put it in the corner, and she gets a bad kick. Once again, Valarie Jenkins is in trouble off the tee. Paige Pierce with a jump putt for her second shot, puts it within 5 feet. Valarie Jenkins must go up and down to have any chance at this. There's her second shot. She has this putt for birdie to stay within 2. That is probably all she wrote. Valarie Jenkins for par. And Paige Pierce will go into the final hole with a 3-stroke lead. If she plays it safe, it is basically insurmountable. She is a 3-time champion here at Maple Hill, and it looks like in about 10 minutes it might be 4.
Or get the landing just outside circle 1 is Nate Sexton's approach shot. James Conrad and Ricky Wysocki discussing who in fact will be throwing next. We also heard a moment ago that Eagle McMahon had thrown a crushing roller on hole number 18. At this point, Eagle's going to need to go and get the birdie more than likely on 18 if he's got any chance to hold off Wysocki. Wysocki's in great position to birdie here on 17.
That's an absolute drop-in for Ricky. easy birdie, so he'll likely have a 2-stroke lead. Well, once he taps that in, he'll have a 2-stroke lead as the score stand right now. If Eagle finds a way to birdie on 18, or he even throws in for an Eagle 2, then it would be extremely interesting. But birdie gives Ricky a 1-stroke lead going into the final hole.
And if Ricky Wysocki has a 1-stroke lead going into 18, he has no reason to take any risk whatsoever. He can certainly play that for a 4. He doesn't have to mess with the forehand that has found the wrong side of the wall in previous years on the final hole. Ricky Wysocki may do something we never see him do, which is lay up.
Lay up. Yeah, that's not the Wysocki way.
The real question is Ricky Wysocki privy to what's going on with the scores?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm sure that he'll ask by the time we get there, but I don't know if he has any idea right now.
We just saw a mistake here by James Conrad. He was just really in a bad position, trying to fight around this corner and get as close as he can to the pin. And that may effectively end James Conrad of any chance whatsoever of being able to take down his second Disc Golf Pro Tour event in a row. Barsby's chances are also dwindling, although he is going to take a birdie here on hole number 17. That's going to push him to 20 under par. But again, he's going to likely be 3 strokes behind Wysocki going into the final hole. And no one's making up 3 strokes on Ricky in the final hole.
No way. I think the worst score he could possibly take there would be a 5, but that would be, he would be playing for a birdie in order to get a 5.
Conrad's going to lay up to just short of the pin. Conrad will then likely remain at his 18 under par. That's currently got him in a tie for 5th at the moment. And what a putt by Nate Sexton. That is a very nice effort. That's going to push him to 19 under.
And Nate, in between these last 2 holes, told us, this hasn't exactly been my best putting round, but that putt was a little bit of retribution. Very solid hit.
Conrad will take the par. And Wysocki moves into the final hole with a 1-stroke advantage. And just before the tee shot, Ricky Wysocki received confirmation from his caddy, who's of course going on live to see what he is doing. Heard that he has thrown OB. This is Ricky Wysocki's tournament. Sexton's cut it short, but he finds a little gap and it keeps moving.
Yeah, it's, when that disc is traveling parallel to the limb, sometimes the favor is yours, and the odds are in your favor. You know, because movies and quotes and stuff.
And Barsby has an early release which pushes left side fairway. Speaking of movie quotes, I think the only one that Wysocki knows is "If you ain't first, you're last." Yeah. And he's going to apply that this weekend.
I want to go fast. That's what he said.
Yeah, I just couldn't knock you that time.
We're looking at a Roadrunner roller here.
Big roller by James with a great angle. Just needs to beat those last three trees. Oh, just underneath him. That's okay.
Let's see how Paige and Val and the rest of the women finish out 18.
So there we have it, coming into the final hole at Maple Hill. The Vibram Open on the ladies' side is all but complete. The ladies congratulate each other on a cold, happy round. Happy to be done for some. Happy to win for others. Paige Pierce puts out her fourth great tee shot on the 18th hole. Jessica Weese struggled through the final round, falling to fifth. Vanessa Van Dyken carded fourth place, earning $500. Jessica Weese earns $450. Valarie Jenkins falls to second, earning herself a cool $1,000. All in all, a good showing.
Come on. And a forehand here by Gregg Barsby.
Catrina Allen hangs on for third and puts up a very fun roller on the very last hole, earning herself $750. And that leaves us our 2017 Vibram Open champion, Paige Pierce, $1,250 richer. Congratulations, Paige.
Yep.
Nate Sexton trying to get a piece of that. Oh, it comes up short. I was going to say trying to get a piece of that maybe fourth place position right now. And Robert, are we going to see an actual layup by none other than Ricky Wysocki? I think the heavens have opened and we're now blessed with skies that aren't raining on us and the wind has calmed. We've got a great green, but What's going on here?
I don't know. Pigs are flying and cows are jumping over the moon at this point. If we see a layup, oh my gosh, it's the real deal. You really did it.
Those are more rare than solar eclipses, I hear. A layup by Wysocki. That should be enough for him once he gets up and over onto the island green. A charging Paul McBeth, a charging Eagle McMahon. Not going to be enough today. And we're going to see Wysocki with the W.
And we do want to congratulate Vibram Open women's champion, Paige Pierce, on her great finish today. I got to walk with Paige's card for quite a bit of her round, and it was just a grind and a struggle out there, and she played the cleanest golf she's played all weekend, so congratulations to Paige on that victory.
And certainly congrats are in order, Paige, who has been so dominant this year. Looked like Val Jenkins had this in the bag. She was playing so clean throughout the weekend. However, the inclement weather came out, and today she just could not remain on that par streak like she had done so much this week. Val struggled on a number of holes, as you saw. Paige took advantage, played clean, and walks away again a Vibram Open champion. I think she's won it like 14 or 15 times now.
I think it's the last 4 in a row.
Okay, or that. And with what looks to be a potential bogey, Nate Sexton will likely fall back to 18 under par. James Conrad will more than likely get up and down and also just take the par here. I think it's going to come down to what Gregg Barsby has in store. Again, you're going to see a tie for second place. Looks like Eagle McMahon and Paul McBeth finishing at 21 under par, and Ricky Wysocki looking to finish at 23 under.
Anytime, as we hear deserved adulation from the gallery here, anytime you can lay up for a win, that's a good day. And Ricky Wysocki has certainly had a good day.
And Conrad almost cashes it in from the long side of the green. Just short. Gregg Barsby with an amazing performance out here this weekend. Of course, the ace, a Sports Center top 10 moment. And Gregg Barsby loves to wow a crowd. I wouldn't be surprised if this grabs the medal.
Absolutely, this would be for his par 4, and you know he wants to finish on a high note.
And Gregg is on the green. Sexton will move to a drop zone. Give him the confirmation he's doing just that. Grabbing medal. Robert, it's been a great day out here. You're going to see Latitude 64's very own Ricky Wysocki, your champion. Thanks for joining us out here this weekend.
Yeah, this has been a great time. I will certainly be back to the Vibram Open. This is an experience that is nearly unrivaled in disc golf. I've really enjoyed it out here.
James Conrad will tap in. Gregg Barsby will be next to tap in.
Sexton, and your champion, Ricky Wysocki, ladies and gentlemen, your 2017 Vibram Open champion in front of a massive crowd and a massive gallery. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Ricky Wysocki, I believe, is going to add up his scorecard before we can catch up with him for a few moments. We'll see if we're going to have a quick talk or if he's going to go in. He's going to go into the scoring booth, take care of his business there, Robert. As he does that, we're going to wait for Ricky. He's going to go in and add up his scores. When he comes back out, we'll have an interview with him. But you and I can recap, Robert. This is your first time here at the Vibram Open. What an experience.
This place is huge. I mean, and if you're an avid disc golfer, if you're not an avid disc golfer and you just enjoy looking at pretty things, this is a place for you. You need to come out and check out Maple Hill Disc Golf Course. I mean, the trees are huge, fairways are tight, everything is, I mean, nearly manicured. So many picturesque holes, so many holes that you could call signature holes, and some fantastic play out here this weekend, even with the inclement weather today.
We had it all for you. We've got a little bit more action for you. Before we come back, we're going to step down for just a few moments. We're going to listen to, well, actually, I'm sorry, we're going to come back after they've added up their scorecards. We're going to listen to a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back in a few moments. Stay tuned right here at the Vibram Open. And Robert, as we're taking a look at the new Champions Cup trophies here this year at the Vibram Open, we're going to pull in Ricky Wysocki. Any parting shots from you before I connect with Ricky?
No, this has been a fantastic experience and opportunity. Always love working with you guys at Smashbox, Terry Miller and Johnny V, and walking around with Rick all day. Great experience. I can't wait for the next one.
All right, thank you, Robert McCall, and thank you to Dynamic Disc for your support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We look forward to some more action here in the Northeast over the next few days with some Dynamic Disc events, as well as the Junior Worlds taking place in Emporia.
Absolutely.
Have a good one,
Let's get
buddy.
the talented people.
Let's get the tall guy in here. We're going to bring in Wysocki. All right, Rick, come on in, buddy. I'm going to stand over here so I look almost taller. I'm now joined by our champion, Ricky Wysocki. And Ricky, I think back to 2014. Here you were trying to approach 18, and it hits the wall and it falls out. The next year you come back, 2015, and you stick the landing. You win it. How does it feel here in 2017?
Yeah, actually, there was actually one more rollaway in there that you forgot. But I've actually been in the lead coming into 18 and hit the rocks and bounced out of bounds twice. So that's definitely haunted me in the past, and I was just glad to, kind of get over that hump and not really have to go for the green. So once I heard Eagle went out of bounds on 18, I could have made the shot, but there was no reason to risk it when I didn't really need to.
You had a charging Eagle McMahon. You had a charging Paul McBeth, both from the second card. You had everyone in check on your card, but what were you thinking about as you were keeping up to speed with the second card?
Yeah, I knew that I had a hole or two on them, so, that may have looked like they were tied or, one back, but I know that as long as I birdie the holes, like 17's a pretty, that's a pretty birdieable hole. I can, high percentage birdies on the weekend. I think I birdied it every time. So I was counting that coming in down the stretch. I knew I was going to kind of get a stroke there, even if they looked like they were tied. So I kind of had that hole in my back pocket, knowing, I had a big birdie on 15 too. I think that was really the breaking point in my round. I knew that coming down the stretch, I was getting a lot of pars because of the weather, and I just knew that I had to have one or two good shots to secure the win, and I did just that.
Well, there's usually a very specific recipe to your success. There's two things. It's either raptor legs or it's a raincoat. And today, I didn't see the raptor legs, so it was the raincoat. It worked out.
Yeah, I didn't put myself in any raptor positions, and if I did, I didn't really capitalize. But I was playing a little bit more safe, so I wasn't being as aggressive, so I didn't really need to activate the raptor mode today.
Well, it's been awesome. Of course, we want to thank everyone. We also want to congratulate Paige Pierce, a very hard-fought battle, her and Valarie Jenkins. Paige came in today, and like you, Ricky, she fought through this weather. She fought through the conditions. She ultimately came out on top. So, again, congrats to Paige. I think she's now a 4-time champion. Very impressive here. She might be coming after you. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe she should be playing in your division. Right. But it's been great. I'd like to thank all the staff and the crew, Dave, and everyone else that takes care of this property, that makes it look as beautiful as they do. New improvements every single year. I'd like to thank Todd Dodge along with Steve Dodge. Of course, Rick and Chad on the cameras. Johnny V at the controls along with Gary to the O, and everyone else involved in our staff and crew throughout the weekend. This is your champion, Ricky Wysocki. I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. This has been Smashbox TV and the 2017 Vibram Open on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Let's go. All right, good job, Terry. What's up?
is going to add a scorecard before we can...